for historic properties. Now we're going to focus more on mapping and using the map feature for looking for those properties. So just something to note, there might be some things that are repeated from the last one, but it's just because I want you to understand how important they are. And there's some stuff that's changed also. So we'll go over those changes on the map as well with the new wizard rollout. Uh, Wizard is not perfect, as y'all know, and as we saw in my last training as well, but it's always a starting point for research. So always make sure to follow up with your own research and verify the information that you see on the map or in historic property inventories. And also, just a note too, this is focused on the built environment specifically. I'm an architectural historian, not an archaeologist, so this can be catered more towards the built environment rather than the archaeology side of things. So let me share my screen, the right one, and get started. Alrighty. So this is the homepage of Wizard. And we're going to focus on the map tab today. So the way to get to the map is either from the homepage, clicking this button right here, or clicking the map tab up here. And we'll start with how to use the search tab up here in the corner. So as mentioned previously, you can search by address or place. So if a thing has a place name, like Mount Rainier or something like that, you can search that in here. You can also search by other things such as township range section, or even like latitude and longitude. The good thing about if you're trying to search like township range section, for example, if you get like a review and they only give you that because there's no address, if you click that, it will give you the format that it needs to be in. So T, the township, R, township, and then the east or west has to be in there, and then the section. And as you're typing it in too, for example, it'll start to fill it in here, which is really nice as well if you forget the format. So I'll exit out of that. And it's important if you click on a specific one down here, just make sure to, say I want to now search by address, just to click out of that, I'm going to click all again so I can search by address. And it uses the same software as Google Maps. So you can type in any address that is present on Google Maps. So for example, a Tacoma address I know, and there's the drop-down menu as well. And so this is the one I was looking for. Go ahead and click it, or you can just click enter once you enter the address, and it will take you right there, which is pretty nice. And there's also different base map layers, which are over here, this 4 little squares here on the left side, titled base maps. You click it, there's a bunch of options for you to choose from. So the one I usually use is the imagery hybrid option, because it lets you see the satellite view. But there's a few other kind of options like that as well, like this imagery hybrid is a little different. Topo maps, which is fun. Historic topo maps or updated topo maps, but there's a lot of fun options. Also, what we found out since the last presentation is that if you're trying to get back to the base map that it defaults to on Wizard, it's actually this topographic one. So you can click that one, it will take you back to the base map that it defaults to on Wizard, which is nice. So I'm going to leave it on that one for now and show you the different layers that we're going to talk about today and some changes as well. So the layers, I'm currently in archaeology permissions. So if you are not an archaeologist or a SOI qualified architectural historian, you won't see a lot of these because you don't have the permissions set that way. So you'd only see like property layer, register, and a few others, like for example, I think the risk assessment module, and then GLO images, jurisdiction, that kind of thing. But the ones I'm going to focus on and highlight today are, of course, property. That one's an important one that we use often. The register layer is really helpful as well, turning that one on. The GLO features is really interesting, which is the government land office information. So this is the current information. We'll zoom out to find some important thing about this layer too is, so to turn on a layer, you hit the little eyeball and it will be not crossed out anymore. And if you hit the little caret next to it, there's the individual features that you have to turn on. So there's the water, see how they all have a little cross in the eyeball. So you have to turn on those individually. So for trails, for example, turn that one on. Now you can see some GLO trails that they have, which is nice. So yeah, something with that one. Just going to turn it off again. Just a little expansion. Another one that I find really useful, especially lately with the ability to map linear resources, especially railroads, is the jurisdiction one. So for jurisdiction, the sections are always on, as you can see the little squares here, double lines. But if you click the expand button, there's a few other options in here, such as, certified local governments, the city boundaries, different things like that. But the railroads is amazing. I use it often to map current railroads or ones that no longer exist. So if you turn that little eyeball on, again, it's same as GLO features. You have to down caret and turn on either active or abandoned. That's new with the current iteration of WISAARD. You didn't have to used to do that, so that's important to note. So I'll turn that on just so you guys can see. Obviously, there's a lot in Tacoma, being the end of the railroad throughout the country. So yeah, pretty helpful for that for sure. Turn that off again. There's also, like GLO images, like historic images, which is really cool. But yeah, pretty fun. So focusing on the property layer now, going back to the top. So see how I kind of zoomed out a little bit and it's grayed out. So it is, and if you hover over it, it says property invisible at current scale. That's important because there's so much information on the map that if we are at this scale, it will just be a blob of dots. So you won't be able to see them. So if you just zoom in a little bit, the property will no longer be grayed out. So easy to see, and then it will let you turn it on. And I'm even going to zoom in a little bit more because it might look a little chaotic. Right. Take a minute to have him show up for a second. But yeah, again, little eyeball, that's all I did. So I'll start talking about some of the changes that we've made to WISAARD. Probably the biggest one is the key here. So we've changed a few of the symbols and added a few others. So just going through them, you'll notice that there are way more dots when you just turn on the property eyeball itself because we merged all the assessor dots. So there used to be a separate drop down for assessor dots that were little yellow squares that were part of a survey that happened in 2011 where we took a bunch of assessor data for buildings that were 50 years or older and added it to our database just kind of as a red flag. But we didn't see the point of having two separate layers there, so we just added them to our normal key here, and so most of them will just be no determination until a determination is given on them. So that's really cool. And yes, we know there are so many duplicates with assessor dots, and that's part of the reason we wanted them being on our layer in general. Camera turned off. And so we have an intern currently working on that, Aiden, who rocks on merging those to help that. But if you do find any that need to be merged, please do not create a new HPI for it, because that we don't want HPIs created just for adding that kind of information. Or oh wait, no, sorry. For merging, you can't merge yourself. So if you find an HPI like that, just send it to us and we will merge it for you. So send it to the support at dap.wa .gov in email, and we'll help merge those for you. There is also, you'll notice with the yellow circles, there used to be a little black dot in the middle for no determination. That is no longer there, but it's still the same. It still means the same thing. So yellow still means no determination. And of course, the red and the green are the same as well. They're just circles now. And we also have the new historic property blue square, which is brand new. So basically, go to a historic district. So that the blue square is for any property that is currently listed on the National Register of Historic Places, the Washington Heritage Register, or as a on the barn register, on DAHP's barn register. So you'll see I zoomed up over here. This is a known historic district. I'll turn on the register layer just so you can compare. So you'll see a lot of them within this district are blue squares, but you'll also notice that some of them are not. That is because those are non-contributing to the historic district. So if they're not contributing, then they retain the usual key of the circles. So, yeah. And so, and of course, this isn't perfect. We are entering this information of contributing or non-contributing manually on the back end. Props to Michael for doing a lot of that, and Kim as well. And so a lot of that information could be inaccurate. And so it's always something to verify by checking the register nomination itself, which is in the HPI as well. And also, some of the older register nominations don't even have contributing, non-contributing status for some of these resources. So you might not see any of them listed within the district and have the blue squares. So definitely something to verify, as I mentioned at the beginning, with your own research. And so really the reason we did this is because we noticed that there were some properties that were being overlooked, even though they were listed. And so it's just kind of adding another flag for people when they are reviewing properties within districts, even non-contributing properties. So like if you're going to build a giant new apartment building in a historic district, say I'm going to demolish this non-contributing building, but all around it is historic buildings. So it could indirectly affect the district. So just a little flag there. So as I mentioned, we're doing this all on the back end. It's not something that consultants can add on their own. So if you do see something that needs to be corrected, feel free to email us, the support box, or Michael Hauser, and we will fix that for you. A lot of these are obviously have also gotten SHPO determinations on them as well. So if you send a project to us to review for a building, and either me, Michael, Geronimo, or Maureen our review team will do a concurrence on there. So saying either eligible or not eligible for the National Register, which would turn it either the green or the red dots. So if it is listed, the blue square will supersede our determination. So no matter what we say, it will still show the blue square on the map. So you'll have to go into the actual HPI to see the determination that we've made. We understand, some registered properties get demolished or heavily altered to the point where it should no longer be listed. So if you do see that, we have to, again, do that on the back end and check it as non-contributing to the historic district, so that it will no longer show up as a blue square on the map. So if you see that, let us know and we will fix it. And then the last new thing with the symbology is the demolished, which I had mentioned at the last training as well, that was something we were working on. So for demolished, it's this orange triangle here. And when we redid the HPI form a while back, it wasn't even an option to add something as demolished, like a construction data as demolished. So it's still pretty, new. And a lot of buildings, we used to have to physically write demolished for people to know that it was demolished. But I'll just go into this one just to show you. So for it to show up as demolished on the map, you need to physically put into the construction data demolished. A year would be helpful for sure if you have a best estimate. But it's important to note that we don't want people creating new HPIs just to input that data, because that creates a lot of dummy HPIs that have no narratives or evaluation information or any of this information. So if there is something that's been demolished and you want that updated, again, just email us, support@dahp.wa.gov, and we will add that information so that it shows up as demolished. And also, same thing with the register data, or the black or the blue squares. We will have to manually go on the back end and uncheck it and say it's not contributing if it's been demolished. So that's all we got for the new symbology, which is very fun. And if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to reach out and we'll be able to help you. I'm also going to go over a few other tools that are in this map tab. So starting with the map selection tool, I kind of went over this again on the other one as well, because it jumps to the search tab. But just a brief overview again. So it's this little pencil on the right side. We'll go ahead and click it. And you can either, draw a point, line, polygon, or a square. I'm just going to draw a square as an example. So click that and then draw a quick little triangle, click, and then click again. And it will immediately take you to the search results page and grab anything that we have that's been mapped that's within that square. So for example, there's 77 properties. Not really. As you can see, there's a few duplicates. And I mentioned that the last one too. Some properties show up many times, but it's just a bug that WISAARD has. So that's important to note. But yeah, there's 4 things on the register in the square. But yeah, pretty helpful for sure. I'm going to jump back to the map now. And so now I'm going to kind of walk through. So say I have a project and DAHP is asking for a map of where the project is taking place. So you can actually do that on WISAARD if you want, using the little blob here, which is actually called just map select tool, I think, or map draw tool.
It's called the draw tool.
Draw tool. Yeah. So clicking on that little blob, you have again the option to draw a point, line, polygon. I'm just going to draw a polygon, make it easier. And then say, this is my project area. Just going to draw another quick triangle or rectangle around it. Double click to end the polygon, or you'll just keep drawing the same polygon over and over again, or keep drawing another polygon. You can add text to the map. So with this little A, I'm going to draw as to location. Oh, typing. Past. And it will immediately create on my mouse a little thing. Put it right here, sure. And I just placed it there, clicked it there, and you can add as many as you want. You just have to keep adding or pressing the text button before you type in again. So Yep, kind of fun. And so that could help with like labeling things on the map. Maybe you have specific things you want to point out. Um, you can then use the print map tool here on the left side, which is not printing the map, obviously. It's just creating a PDF or a JPEG or whatever format you want it in. So just going to zoom out a little bit. And I'll click the print map tool up here. And you can either create like a layout type of map where it has all the different layers that are being shown here, or you can just create a map only where all those different, the key isn't there or any of that information. I'll create a layout just to show you guys what it looks like. You can give it a title. I'll say map. You can put it in landscape or other like portraits or anything like that. I usually just don't leave it how it is. And then you can put it in different formats as well. So as I mentioned, JPEG, TIFF, but I'll just leave it in PDF and hit export. And we'll see it spinning. It just might take a minute or two to do that. And yeah, the options for map only are pretty similar. You can mess with the options a little bit. So yeah, you'll see here, I'll click it and it will just open it in another tab. Here we are. With my little rectangle, shows all the keys down here, scale, which is super helpful. And then if you want to draw a new shape or something, you can just hit the trash button and you can draw a new one. The last tool I'll talk about today on the map tab is the measuring tool, which can be useful. So oh yeah, and another thing I forgot to mention, but it's the same with lines too, the symbology. So see how area with a few different lines. So the lines are using the same color, as you can see here, the same color key. So if it's listed, it's blue. If it's demolished, it's orange. Same as before for all the other options. So say I want to measure how much of this railroad line is in my project area. And I know it starts here and ends here. So I can take this measure tool and I'll click this first option here, which is the line option. So I clicked it and then I'll just draw from here to here and I'll double click to end it. And okay, it's 0.2 miles of the railroad that is in my project area, my imaginary project area. And you can change the units as well, like, oh, I want it in inches or something like that, which is nice. And then you can also, I'm going to delete this so I can draw a new one. You can also do a polygon and get more like square miles or square feet, depending on how big it is. And remember, if you want to end it, double click and there you go. So yeah, that's a pretty useful tool if you're trying to get more measurement information as well. And then yeah, just remember to trash it before trying to draw a new one. So that is about it for the day in terms of what we are going to talk about today. And I will stop sharing, or I'll keep sharing my screen just in case there's more information. And then I'll flash at the end a information about who to the email to contact and all that information. So let me see here. Have we got any questions?
Thanks, Maddie. No questions yet. I better just put a note in there. Yeah, please ask questions if you have any.
Yes, there is a training tomorrow that was mentioned at the beginning. It's on local historic districts, which is going to be led by my coworker, Michelle. I think the link, do you have information about that, Kim?
Yep, the link is above. I'll put it in again.
Thanks.
Yes, you betcha. There's a link to all of our upcoming session information, and then the recordings for the previous presentations are at the bottom of that page.
I'll have an awkward silence, so I will keep it going. Our assessors information only for urban areas. So the assessor dots are actually from CLG information, so our certified local government program. So if you're within a certified local government, you probably have assessor dots in your area. They aren't fully accurate in terms of which buildings it chose to give assessor dots to. So you might be like, oh, why does this house from 1920 not have a assessor dot? And so there's a few of those kind of outliers, but for the most part, the CLG areas will have that. Does the measure tool polygon include a circle option? I don't think so. But I think on our map tools, you can, so there's another map that I'm not going to go over today, but so at the home page, there's this button, map tools, and you have to log in again and all that. But I think there is an option to draw, say, like a certain area of potential impact or effect around an area, kind of like a buffer, and you can like use the measure tool that way, but you'd have to kind of play around with it for sure.
We'll have a separate tutorial on that tool.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. But you can get at it right now.
Mhm.
It's been there.
Yeah.
Another note about assessor's information. So if you open up any one of those assessor properties in the narrative, it gives you an exact description of what the survey entailed and what information is in there. So just open up any HPI that is an assessor. Of course, it's hard to tell from the map now. Normally, it's they're all of 6-digit numbers in the middle,
Oh,
300,000-ish to like 600,000-ish. There's a bunch of them. It was an attempt to inform CLGs of where their historic buildings were potentially. So that's why they're in CLGs only.
it usually has all caps in the address too. That's how
Yeah.
you can tell
Yeah. Oh,
good
that's
stuff
great.
that.
There's one. So go to the narrative, Maddie. It
Oops.
describes exactly why that is in there and what it is.
Yeah. Tacoma's also has information about like
Oh, that's the Tacoma
demolition
stuff.
waste. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's special to Tacoma though.
We digress.
But yeah.
Any other questions about the map? Okay, great. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah. Thanks.